Greetings, everyone. This is Payman Lorenzo, your host, your friend, your coach. Today, we're kicking off day 5 of the May class of the 5-day podcast lead challenge. It's going to be an amazing one. It's been an amazing week, very fun, powerful, passionate guest speakers. And today, I have the one and only, the one expert that has been requested the most, my dear friend, Mischa Zvegintzov, or Mischa Z. And I'm very happy to have you, brother. Welcome here again. Thank you for being here.
Oh gosh, good to be here. I'm so excited. When I saw the invite from you to do this again, I just lit up. Your audience is always so much fun. Your participants are always so much fun, and everybody excited to, grow their businesses, their heart-centered businesses through podcasting. I love it. So thank you.
Absolutely. You're very welcome. Absolutely. You do have the voice for that, Mischa. You do have the voice for that. And, some people have a voice for TV and what is it? Face for radio, but you have both in the correct way, not the other way around. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Speaking of radio, we have
Yes.
another radio expert here. Graham did what? How many years? 15, 20 years in radio?
Yes, but for me, my face is for radio, unfortunately.
No, don't say that.
Hey, do you have British teeth too? You sound like you're British or Australian or something.
I was born in England, but live in Australia, yeah. So I have British bits everywhere, I think.
Said with love. Said with love.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So I'm excited. You guys excited to get going? I can't hear you. It's Friday here. Saturday. Yeah. Friday. Come on, let's hear it.
Bring it on.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's go.
Hey, Paul, you're the DJ. Show me how you do it, brother. Show me how you do it.
Woohoo!
Hey, Friday night, 5 o'clock, Pacific Standard Time. So I'm in Encinitas, California. But some of you must be later on a Friday. I mean, we are committed to the process. Yes.
Yes.
2 people coming
Absolutely.
from the UK. It's 1 o'clock for them. Angela and Sarah Sai. Thank you for being here with us. It's an honor having you. Thank you. And we're ready to rock and roll.
All right, let's do it. I'm going to get right to it. And
okay, let me wait. Give me a second.
Oh,
let me
go. Sorry.
Firing up I know you're too excited, man. Let me just fire up my slides and give you a proper introduction. Do you guys see my screen? Okay, so let me go present mode. Okay, so welcome for day 5, path to leads on demand. So today's menu is going to be, we're going to start right away with Mischa Zvegintzov, aka the podcast, the growth expert. Then after that, we're going to talk after his talk. I'm going to do the teaching. Tonight's teaching is going to be we're going to identify where is your ideal listeners, prospect, and client hanging out the most. We're going to be mapping out your first 10, 20, 100 billion episodes and beyond together, and then putting it all together to get leads on demand to your profitable podcast. So that's today's menu. Let me get going. So yeah, before we start, any questions from anything pertaining to day 4? Speak now.
I had a brilliant question. Yesterday, and I can't for the life of me remember it. So when I do, I'll ask you then.
All questions are brilliant. There's no unbrilliant questions. So
this was beyond brilliant then.
Oh, absolutely. Hey, that could be an amazing title for a podcast, the Beyond Brilliant Questions or Beyond Brilliant Podcast, a conversation,
I love it.
Yeah.
So awesome. I do have a question.
Go ahead.
And I enjoyed your repetition and things, but I just wanted to kind of go over my notes here because I'm feeling like I might have missed something. So it's what, why, the consequences, and then what will happen if you don't address it. And so that's in your punchline.
Yeah, let me open up this slides from day 4 and tell you exactly. Yeah, I will share the slides for every the whole 5 days later today. So by the time you wake up tomorrow, depending where you're in the world, or later today, you will have the slides for all 5 days. So just to summarize that, it's okay. Let me share that screen quickly for you guys. So here it is. We need to educate your audience. To achieve that, we need to educate the client on 4 things. What is the specific problem? The reason why the problem exists in the first place, consequence of the problem, and the ultimate negative outcome as a result of inaction.
So those are the main things that we want in our plug line that you gave an example of. I help authors and coaches with no audience.
Yes.
Struggles to get leads, launch their profitable pod. So that's
Yes.
what that's the parameters basically of
Yes,
our punchline.
exactly. For example, for me, it would be, as I mentioned, the number one reason most coaches struggle to get leads or any clients is because they lack clarity. As a result of that, the message is diluted. It doesn't connect or resonate with anyone, let alone the audience. And when that happens, they're not getting any leads. And when they don't get any leads, they don't get any business. When you don't get any business, so when you don't get any clients, you don't have a business. When you don't have a business, you're facing the real threat of closing your business and getting a JOB. So that's the ultimate negative outcome that you have to really paint to them in a very vivid way, so they can really feel the pain. They have to feel the pain, understand the pain before they say, okay, I need to do something about it.
All right, I worked on it a little bit, and I think I've got something that's going to be
Cool.
that I can play with. Sure. So thank you for that.
Very welcome.
Clarification.
Let me stop sharing my screen and go to the right slide. Okay, where is it? Okay, so present. Okay. Okay, so yeah, so today is about Mischa. Mischa, brother, the floor is all yours.
Awesome. Thank you so much. You're going to need to let me share screen in a minute.
Yes,
So yeah,
yes.
awesome. Thank you. Everybody mute yourselves too, please, for me quickly. And then what was I going to say? Everybody mute, have your pens ready, your paper ready, or get ready to take screenshots. And if you stay to the end, I'm going to give everybody the link for how to download my free guide on how to execute and launch and run a profitable and successful podcast guest speaking tour. So make sure to stay to the end for that. And then I just want to say that I started podcasting in earnest 3 or so years ago. I've done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of episodes.
What's your number right now?
And I think I'm at 700 and something
Holy.
or 800 or something. I've lost track. It must be 700.
I thought it
Table
was
Rush
a big
Talk
shot
Show.
of 340, but you just
Table Rush Talk Show. Podcasting has changed my life, and guest speaking on podcasts has changed my life too. But what I'm trying to say is that I was encouraged to start a podcast 7 years ago. Imagine if I'd started a podcast 7 years ago. I even bought a mic 7 years ago so I could do it. And I hemmed and hawed and I started recording everything and I was interviewing people and doing all this stuff, but I did not publish anything. And then I finally got around to it 3 years ago. And so all you all are on here right now. Start your podcast. Don't wait. I know that's what you're here for, right? You're here to learn how to start a podcast, how to monetize that podcast. Like, don't wait like me. I waited 4 years to finally start it. Now I'm prolific and love it, and it's so much fun and met amazing people. But that would be my encouragement to you. So let me share my screen here. And today I'm going to show you how to guest speak on podcasts. And let me go to the beginning here. And I spoke on 20 podcasts in the first 4 months of the year. Can everybody see me still?
yes.
Awesome. And you can see my screen here?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So I have a question for you. How would your business and your life change if you guest spoke on 50 podcasts in 100 days? And not just any podcasts, but podcasts with your perfect audience. Yeah, I see somebody down there, Paul, saying yes, it would be impactful. And quick, how did I end up here? I guess spoke on a podcast, Monica Kremendall's Profit with a Plan podcast. Monica introduced me to Payman. I spoke on Payman's podcast, and now I'm here having an opportunity to share what I do with you. So that's the power of guest speaking on podcasts. That's just one of the things. Anyway, we're going to get into a bunch more, but the power of guest speaking too, grow your heart-centered business. I want everybody to write their why right now and put it in the chat. What is your why? To help divorcees heal their trauma, to help blank find their purpose, to show my kids how to be an entrepreneur, to show my kids how tenacity works. All of us growing our businesses online, we have to be tenacious, yes? To grow my business, to help you serve the world. That's why I'm here. I'm here to help you get your message to the world, to get your message out there by going on other podcasts. Let me find the chat bar here. Let's see, what did somebody say? To help heart-led coaches run successful businesses. Love that, Angela. We've got Carrie, to grow exponentially, to help adults shift from childhood trauma to living the life they love. I love that. We all have powerful messages. Podcasting is so powerful. Today, you are going to learn not only what to say and when to say it, but where to find these podcasts and then how to get on them. So welcome to my podcast guest speaking framework, my three-step system to become the go-to authority and expert in your niche without having to waste money on social media marketing or spending countless hours posting on social media again, just in case you're tired of doing that. I get tired of posting on social media. I literally have had the thought, one of the benefits of podcast guest speaking, or having your own podcast for that matter, is we get a copy. I always ask the people that I guest speak on their podcast for a copy of the video. And then I'll take that and repurpose that content into all these little clips. I can schedule it. All these clips get blasted across social media. I never even have to log into social media once. And I had the thought, I may never have to post on social media again, like go on to social media and post. And I was like, I'm free. Anyway, some people love social media and are good at it. So God bless. Who is this for? Heart-centered entrepreneurs who are moving from the heart. And money is not the main motivation. It's we're here to serve. Now, some of us do need to make money, perhaps even quickly. And I'm not saying that making money is bad, but it is not our underlying core motivation. I do have bills to pay and mouths to feed, property taxes. My boys are in college, community college. They still eat me out of house and home, 21 and 23, my two boys. So I do have bills to pay. How'd I get here? So I had to clean up the recovery years. I got clean and sober when I was 17 years old, and I've been on a straight line sobriety ever since. And I'm not saying that's good, bad, and different. It's just so you know that I look at life through, the 12-step healing modalities or the 12-step frameworks. That's just how I've looked at life. And literally, Judge Rank sentenced me. I had graduated from Judge Horn to Judge Rank. This was back in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. It was 1986. I committed another little crime. It was the last day in high school that I got clean, by the way. So I was just, a derelict in high school. But anyway, Judge Horn, who was the judge number one, he kept, I got 1 year probation, 2 year probation, 3 year probation. I graduated to judge rank, the hanging judge. Again, this is Jackson, Wyoming, 1986. It's about the last week of high school that all this went down. And I'd done another stupid little crime. And Judge Rank says to me, you can go to jail for 6 months or you can go to treatment. And I had this moment of clarity, and I was like, the life of devastation of chemical abuse unfolded in front of me, and I just had this moment of clarity. But to fast forward, I got introduced to the 12-step modalities, which are amazing. I think they're so great. But one of the literature in this book, on page 102, there's this line that kind of changed my life. And part of the 12-step modalities are, we need to squash the ego, quell the ego. And so, it's trust in God, or find that connection to higher power, source, the universe, call it what you will. Clean house. We need to start learning. I needed to start learning how to take accountability to the next level, accountability for my actions. And the third thing is work with others. Like, how can I be of service? And the more I'm of service, the more I'm getting out of myself, the better I function in the world, and I'm squashing that ego. And so on page 102 of this book, it basically says we can go anywhere and do anything as long as we have a service mentality and our motives are clean. And so I got this to the exact line is, but be sure you are on solid spiritual ground before you start, and that your motive in going is thoroughly good. Do not think of what you will get out of the occasion. Think of what you can bring to it. And that morphed into this little prayer for me that I've been saying for 37 years. How can I be of service? What can I bring to the table? And it's literally the lens that I look through everything. And it's what I asked before I came on here tonight. How can I be of service? What can I bring to the table? Here's me. I'm this little in the blue shirt in the back. That's me as a wee lad before I became a troublemaker. Here I am. This was probably 1985 in my zigzag t-shirt. How funny is that? With that funny hairdo. Anyway, skinny. But anyway, I was trouble. Anyway, I got into sales. And then I had the success, grow your family, upward trajectory years. And I got into sales. And sales, I started in the financial services industry as a retail commodities broker, and I started making 250 phone calls a day. Hand-dialed phone calls. So this was in the mid to late 90s. I'm dialing, smiling and dialing. I have a little tick sheet, and I'm checking how many phone calls did I make? How many people answered? How many people told me no? And how many people became leads? And then how often did I follow up? How many follow-ups did I make a day? And finally, I start gaining some ground and having some traction. And I had moved to San Francisco Bay Area. So I'm living downtown San Francisco Bay Area with my to-be wife at the time, Dawn, who's now my ex-wife, and my two boys. We get along great. Anyway, long story. But as I'm learning my sales chops, and I graduate from financial services to the tech industry. So this is late 90s, the dot-com bubble's in full swing. But I'm listening to guys like Zig Ziglar, Brian Tracy. I have the Walkman on with the headphones, and I'm hearing smile, sit up straight, roll your shoulders back. How can you be of service? All these things. And I finally start having success. I end up in the mortgage business, and in San Diego, California, where I live now, Encinitas, California. And I did door-to-door sales there too, you can see. But I started doing flyer campaigns. I started building telemarketing teams. One of my gifts was finding data niches, downloading that data and then, sending campaigns and doing all this sort of stuff. And so I had about 15 years of successful sales in home loans, and me and my team funded $1.5 billion in loans. It's a lot of loans, and that was through the ups and downs of the mortgage crisis. But there I was working, and that's proof that I worked. I was probably stacking W-2s, income and asset documentation, stuff like that. Then it was the death, divorce, career upheaval, failed relationship years. So I had all this success in mortgages, and it was about 2000, I don't know, 10-ish. All of a sudden, Dawn and I, my boy's mom, we get divorced, and that rocks my world. Up until that point, all I had really known was success. And so I get this divorce, and then my career starts going a little bit sideways. And then I have another failed relationship. And then both my parents died within rapid succession, within about 2 weeks of each other. And it just blew me to bits. My parents had been divorced for, 30 some years, but mom had cancer and she passed away. And then out of nowhere, my father, who was healthy as an ox, was hiking in the mountains that he loved in Jackson, Wyoming. And he has a heart attack and dies. And I'll never forget the phone call, right? Phone rings, says Dad's cell. And I just emailed him that morning. And phone rings, and I'm like, "Hey, Dad." And he's like, "This is Tom." And I just knew it. I was like, "Oh no." He's 73 years old, but he died doing what he loves. But I just say that because all this stuff in rapid succession. So it was like, late 2010, 11, 12, all this stuff happened, and it blew me to bits, man. And anyway, there's me and young Waylon sitting on one of the, what do you call the walls along the ocean, whatever you call those little walls. But someone just happened to come by and snap that sweet picture of me and my youngest son at the time. But what happened is so I'm in home loans, and I'm crushed. I don't know up and down anymore. And I start really doing bad at work. Everything that I was good at work overnight became bad. Like I was bad at it. And I stayed in home loans for 2 years too long. And what happened was I stumbled across this guy named Kyle Cease. I don't know if anybody knows Kyle Cease, but they should Google Kyle Cease. He's amazing. It's all about meditation and, healing and all this stuff. And so he has me do these exercises of writing down 100 things 100 things you love, 100 things you're good at, and 100 things you understand. And you meditate when you do this. And the first 25 of all of those are really easy, but then you go deep. So anyway, I'll try to cut to the chase here. He has you dot next to each of those things that make you feel light. And then you just don't put a dot next to anything that that doesn't move you positively, right? And I realized as I was inventorying all that stuff that I loved at this point. I was divorced and I was a single dad. I was like, oh my gosh, I love getting my boys to school. I love reading to their class. I love making their lunches. I love, getting them to their sports. I love just being for them at home. And I realized in that moment that I needed to quit my career. So I went to work the next day and I go to my boss and I'm like, I wish I could remember his name. And I say, hey, I quit. I'm done. And he goes, I'll match whatever offer you're being given. I said, no, you don't understand. I'm done. I'm retiring. I got some money in the bank. I need to get my boys through school and then we'll see what happens. And he straight up looked at me and goes, I wish I could quit too. And I knew in that moment that I was doing the right thing. And so for the next 4 or 5 years, I'm just raising my boys. And I knew I was in the right space when Waylon would peek out of his room and he would look and see me in the living room and he would see I was there and he knew he was safe and he would close the door. Anyway, fast forward, we get to They start graduating. Cooper's out of the house. He's my older one. He's in school, got his job, got his girlfriend. Same with Waylon. He's just about to graduate. And at this point, I know that entrepreneur sales marketing is starting to percolate again. And I love sales. I love marketing. I just love all this stuff. And it was like, it's time to get back into business. So rebirth into online marketing. So what happens is, I don't know, this is 4 or 5 years ago by now, whatever it is, somewhere in there. I go big, right? Like I was old school marketing. Internet was just coming online in a big way, but I was like telemarketing, flyers, get the phone to ring, lots of face-to-face networking, going to events. Yeah, I see Matthew raising his hand. Yeah, you understand, right? And I was like, I gotta figure out this online marketing thing. And as a matter of fact, it was Kyle Cease who told me to start that podcast. And like I said, it took me 7 years ago, he said, start this. Took me 4 years to get around to it. But anyway, I'm like, I'm going to sort out this online marketing thing. And so I just go big right out of the gate. And I joined Russell Brunson's, what is called as 2CCX. I don't know if any of you have heard of Russell Brunson, but
Yes.
he wrote this book called .com Secrets. He's a genius, really good guy. He has his ups and downs like all of us, but really moving from the heart. But I jump into the $25,000 a year program and I start flying around to all these events. Russell's like, you got to start, he goes, you got to start uh, putting yourself out there, publishing, he called it. You got to start publishing. And he said, you either start your podcast, start a YouTube channel, or start a blog. And I was like, I'm going podcast for whatever reason. So I start my podcast and I gained some traction. Anyway, I'm flying around, I'm interviewing people. I'm on all these masterminds. I'm on Zoom calls. I'm on hot seats. I'm on all this stuff. And I literally interview, I don't know, and talk to, thousands of entrepreneurs. And a couple of things become clear really quick. Number one, us entrepreneurs can be horrible at telling our story. We're just really bad at it. Number two, we're even worse at telling our story through our customers' eyes. Call it a testimonial, right? And I was like, oh my gosh. So I have this inspiration as I'm going through all this. Start getting businesses video testimonials. So one of the first things I create is called the my perfect video testimonial system, my 5-step system for getting your customers to gladly do your selling for you. All right. So I'm interviewing people, getting paid to get people's customer stories, right? And editing and getting flown around. I got flown to Ireland. I've been flown all around the United States. But I've still got this wicked imposter syndrome. It was crazy. I was like, am I adding value? What am I doing? Where am I going? And two things happened. Stacy Oliver, one of my clients, she would fly me around to these she has a magazine called Mind, Body, Soul magazine. You can Google it, check it out. It's amazing. But she would fly me around to her events to interview her like cover ladies and the people, contributors. There we go. And to get testimonials and stuff. And I wake up to an email from her and it says, Mischa, you're the one who moves the needle in my business. And I was like, oh my God, I'm adding value, right? For whatever reason, up until that point, I was like, I didn't believe I was adding value, that wicked imposter syndrome that we can all have. And at the same time, Ryan Lipsey, who's got a show, it's called the Small Business Spotlight. He tells me he had been asking me for a few months to jump on his show. He has this big audience of realtors. And he's like, realtors need to know how to get their customer testimonials. Because as you know, realtors right now, the realtor market has been floundering for a while and they need content and all this. And he goes, you can teach them how to, get their video testimonials. You can teach them how to repurpose that content. I finally capitulate, which is kind of like saying I give in. I get that email from Stacy, and at the same time, I was scheduled to speak on his show. Finally, and I speak on this show, and I crush it. was like, oh my God, I've got a story to tell and I add value, right? It was like, it was incredible. So I get this flood of engagement and I'm inspired. I go, I need to go on a podcast tour. Like, I've got a story to tell. I can tell it. I need to start speaking on podcasts, like big time. So this is about a year and a half ago ish, plus or minus a few months, as I'm telling you the story right now. So I'm like, I need to go on a podcast tour. So I do this Facebook post where I go, hey, I'm going to go on a podcast tour. I'm going to teach entrepreneurs how to get their customer video testimonials. I go, but I'm going to create all this assets to go on this podcast tour. I'm going to create the tracking sheets, the pitches, how to find the podcast, all this, all my superpowers, right? From home loans and sales. And I go, who would want those assets? And I get this flood of engagement. I would. And I was like, oh my God, I can teach people how to get on podcasts, right? And the worm turned that day. And I was like, that's it. That's what I'm doing. Hence, here I am today. Fast forward a year and a half later, I've got what's called my influence army, payments in it.
Yes.
And I teach people how to get speak on podcasts. Yeah. And payments busy. So he's in there. He's in and out, in and out.
I've been a
And I was like,
member.
where was he?
I joined the
today?
program back in October, and I swear to you, I only was able to attend just one call 2 weeks ago, and that one call away. I told you I was about to cancel because your calls are at 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning for me being in Asia. I was about to cancel, but said I saw an email from you just 2 weeks ago. Said, "Oh, there's a meeting at 6 o'clock in the morning." I had a call at 7. Say, "Let me just wake up an hour earlier." I attended, and that one call made up for all the month I paid for attending. That's all I'm gonna say. Seriously.
Mm. Thank you. That was a good call to be on. That was a good one.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Yeah, I see that Paul said willing old dogs can learn new tricks. Yes, we can. And thank you for that, Payment. Okay, so what is the power of guest speaking? That it can change your business and your life. So there's 7 main benefits to podcast guest speaking. Number 1 is the audience clicking on your call to action. So like I'm here right now. I can say, hey, go to my guestingguide.com. That's actually the link I'm going to give you at the end. Guestingguide.com. Download my, my guide on how to launch and execute a successful podcast speaking tour. So when the host asks you, hey, where should I send you? I always say go to guestingguide.com, and then you're building your email list. You can market whatever you want. You can sell, you can inspire, but you have your call to action. And then the host will sometimes direct recommend you to someone. So as I said before, I spoke on Monica Kremendall's Profits, whatever podcast, can't remember the name of it now. But she introduced me to Payman. I spoke on Payman's podcast, and Payman became a member of my influence army. So the host direct recommended me to Lorenzo. The host will sometimes use your services themselves. So I'll speak on a podcast, and when we're sending out guest speaking requests, if a host is interested, or if a host says yes, it's because they want to learn about what you do. So they're naturally interested. And oftentimes it's because they want to take advantage and learn literally what you're teaching. So the host will sometimes use the services yourselves. So a couple of the people that are in my influence army are podcasts that I guest spoke on. And again, Payman being one of them. There's collaboration opportunities. So this right here is an example of a collaboration opportunity. Payman brings me into his group onto the podcast leads challenge. So I can teach to you, and then we have an opportunity. You get to know me. Perhaps you download my guesting guide, and perhaps we work together in the future. So they'll have you into their group, right? The other thing too is they'll sometimes give you access to their email list. You can do things like that. So super powerful.
Also,
You
if I
can
may add, also something I've been emphasizing over and over and over again is that the reason why Mischa is here today is because I get to know him I got to we got to get to hear each other's stories, build rapport and trust. And he's been vetted because Monica is a dear friend of mine. And as a result of that, I invited him for the first challenge back in January. Then I made a poll. I said, which of the expert do you guys want? He was by far the most requested. So in the he came back in March and April, and here is again. Podcasting helps you build trust because business, especially high ticket, it's all about one thing and one thing only: trust. If me and Mischa, we don't get along as man to man, we don't have the trust, I wouldn't be one of his client, even though I never attended this call for 6 months. But I trusted them. I still kept paying until finally one morning I was able to attend his call and say, wow, that one call made up for all a month of me paying without attending. And all of that because I had a trust. If I didn't have the trust, I would have canceled within the first month. I wouldn't even join him in the first place, because who's Mischa? Just a guy trying to pitch me, sell me. There's a billion of those. Why Mischa and not someone else? But because I have the trust. Again, name of the game is trust, and podcasting is what's allowed you to get the trust. Sorry to interrupt you, brother. Go in the fly. Just have to share that.
No, I appreciate it very much, Payman. I was listening to, I think it was Gary Vaynerchuk the other day. If anybody's heard of Gary Vaynerchuk, who's prolific out there, like, show no fear, just get your message out there. And Gary, I believe it was Gary, he said, he'll be out and about in public, and people who are familiar with his social media posts, so Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, stuff like that, they come up and give him a high five. They're like, Gary, high five, right? And then they walk by or maybe ask him a question. He said people that listen to his podcast, they come up and give him a hug because they feel like he's family.
Yes.
And I heard that. I was like, yes, so true. Anyway, we're getting repurposable content. So I asked Payman, can I record this before we start? He says yes. And perhaps there's a fun little clip that I can clip out of here and turn into, a TikTok or something. What happens is most podcasts these days a video goes up on YouTube, and you can get a YouTube downloader and download the video. And so even if they don't share the video with you, there's ways to get it. Branding. We are literally, number 6, branding. We're literally elevating our authority, our thought leadership, our brand as we become known for speaking on podcasts. Again, I've been on 20 some podcasts. It's been crazy. It's been like literally being on tour. It's been so much fun, but my brand is elevating. I was on a call with somebody and they're like, I heard you on this podcast and this and that. You just get that kind of stuff. It's crazy. SEO is number 7, where we will be seen as an authority as we build our lasting body of content, because we start coming up in searches, right? Social media, Facebook, TikTok, stuff like that. I know it's searchable, but the reality is all that stuff is fleeting. Your 0.3 seconds of fame, but podcasts, long form SEO, long lasting body of content. And the bonus 8th, you will be a different person when it is all said and done. You will have a transformation. Like, you'll have confidence, a deep knowing that comes from serving at such a high level. I do. Yeah. So guest speak on podcasts. Those are the benefits. My podcast guest speaking framework, my 3-step system to become the go-to authority and expert in your niche without having to waste money on social media marketing or spending countless hours posting on social media again, just in case you're tired of doing that. How do you find unlimited podcasts with the perfect audiences? How do you easily get on their shows so you speak to unlimited captive audiences without having to befriend them, follow them, look, like, and follow them, stalk them? That's what a lot of people tell you to do. They're like, consume their content, and like, look, follow, comment. With what I do, you don't have to do any of that, unless you want to, unless you like them. Paul, thank you. You downloaded the guide. Amazing. So we want to know what's their email, and then what's the pitch, which is the guest speaking request, and then what do I say and when do I say it, so the audience will take action without me selling. So let's dive into it. How to find unlimited podcasts with the perfect audiences. My Find Your Perfect Podcast framework, my 5-step framework to easily find more podcasts to speak on than you know what to do with. So in my group, I've got my podcast guest speaking template. So we'll just click on this really quick, and it's got all these fun tabs on here, how you can track your podcasts, tools and linked, what shows are booked, different tracking things, producers, and just fun stuff along the bottom. But what we're concerned about are the tools and links. So how do we find these podcasts? Number one, we can go to, actually, my favorite is just to search on Spotify. So you open Spotify, go into the search bar, and you could search trauma. Some people said trauma. Let me look through the chats. Trauma. What did we have? I love and support heart-centered entrepreneurs. Heart-centered entrepreneurs. We could Google that. There's all sorts of fun things I'm seeing in the chat, but let's just do trauma, and then we'll do podcasts and shows. X out over here. So podcasts and shows show all. So what's really cool about Spotify is you see Trauma Rewired, Healing Trauma, Back from the Abyss. There's tons of shows. You scroll down and it refreshes, and it just keeps refreshing. So there's a whole bunch of podcasts you could speak on. Let's say you wanted to speak to coaches about healing coaches, and you want to help a coach's audience heal, their trauma or things like that. Or if you're in manufacturing, you could Google manufacturing. If you're start thinking outside the box, sustainability podcasts, eco podcasts, just whatever. It's endless. But you'll see that Spotify just refreshes, and then you just start getting podcast after podcast after podcast. Okay. So I love Spotify for that. Apple is great. What's cool about Apple, here's my podcast, the Table Rush Talk Show. Oops. And you open podcast, what's going to happen here is you can't see the podcast app because it's on my computer. But what's cool about the Apple Podcast desktop app or the app on your phone, you can search the same way. But when you click on a podcast that you think you might want to guest speak on, it'll say other shows like this if you scroll down to the bottom. And then you say show all, and then it gives you a whole bunch of shows just like it. So that's 2 simple ways. There's also Google. So Google, we could put somebody put in chat what kind of podcast they think they'd want to speak on. And we could go trauma. Right, we'll go trauma. We do trauma again. Carrie said trauma podcasts. So 42 more. There's a whole bunch of podcasts right there, right? Adult child, that would be another great one. We could go adult child podcasts. Oops, I meant to go adult child podcast, but you get it. There's adult child podcasts. A lot of times it'll say top 20 podcasts on adult children. Favorite podcasts of 2022 for trauma therapists, best trauma podcast 2024. These are all things that you can click on. 60 best trauma podcasts. Okay. So it's super simple. The next thing you do is you find a podcast that you want to guest speak on. So we've got my podcast, for example. I talk about entrepreneuring stuff. I also talk about spirituality and meditation. I weave that throughout, but mostly it's about entrepreneuring. And so we've got Brent Peterson right here, Jeff Klubeck. He's more of a, he wrote the Integrity Game. You hack my podcast guest speakers. figure 70% of the people on my podcast have their own podcasts. And this is a truth. So you can click, you can just hack speaker lists. Then the funnest thing is you go to listen notes, which is another thing. And then you could Google, you go into listen notes and you put Mischa Zvegintzov. It shows my podcast, but it shows all the podcasts that I've spoken on. And I'm talking about entrepreneuring stuff. So you know that, hey, I should try and start speaking on all these podcasts. There's Profit with a Plan. There's Monica's, The Addiction, Point of No Return. But you get it? So then, great way. It's soon enough, you will find more podcasts than you know what to do with. And then really quick as well, what I like to look for on a podcast, you can go to listen notes, and there's two things you want to pay attention to. Does a podcast have guest speakers? Because trying to convince a podcast that doesn't have guest speakers to have a guest speaker, don't waste your time. In my humble opinion, you're better served finding ones that have guest speakers. Number two, is the show current? So you can see that May 29th was my last podcast episode. You can also see that on Apple Podcasts. You can also see it on Spotify. So if we look at the Coach's Wife podcast, interview with Lane Dugan, Inside the Life of Dr. Shana Mitty. And the last episode was May 26th. So that's probably actually a great podcast for one of you on here or all of you to guest speak on. So the next thing is great. Oh, I'm going to give you even more information. So then you stalk them on Facebook. So Deidre Shen, I love Deidre, and I know I love Deidre. But if you find him on Facebook, speakers on Facebook, or people that you like, or any of these guest speakers, there's a great chance that they were on a summit, right? Mm-hmm. And so what you do is you just scroll through their feed, see if they were on any summits. Here's one. She was on the Smart Results Summit. Oftentimes, they'll put the link to the summit in the show notes, so you can see me clicking on it. And then, bam, they need to pay their ClickFunnels bill. But here's a whole bunch of guest speakers. See all these guest speakers? And they tell you what they do. And realistically, 70% of them have their own show. And now you can find more people. You get it. You get it? Everybody tracking me? Is this exciting?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, good. Thank
Man,
you, Matthew. Thank
this
you,
time
Paul.
around, you're sharing things you did not share in the first two ones, man.
What's that? So,
this time around, you're sharing things you did not show us the last two times when you came to speak for the previous classes. So
good. I'm giving more good stuff. Yeah. I'm getting better, right? Progress, not perfection. Take the messy action. Where was I here? So that is the wrong. That's okay. So then what we want to do is we want to go to Podcast Addict. Okay. So every podcast out there, like, great, I found the podcast. Now what do I do? Now we got to find their email. So every podcast out there has what's called an RSS feed. And you don't need to know what an RSS feed is. All you need to know is that an RSS feed on 95% of the podcasts has their email embedded in it. Mm-hmm. Okay. And it's so we go to podcastaddict.com, go table rush for words talk show. There I am, Table Rush Talk Show. And then you can also see that, oh yeah, I have a recent episode, and I'm interviewing people. See this little button down here on the left, RSS feed. You click RSS feed. The RSS feed comes up. Sometimes it loads quick, sometimes it doesn't. This one takes a couple of seconds. I don't know why, probably because I've got 700 episodes or something like that. I bet that's it. Okay, now check this out. You just start scrolling down a little bit. There's my email. Bam. It's that easy. Every podcast has an RSS feed. put it in Podcast Addict. You can also go like this too, marketing. And you can find podcasts that way. So it's a great search tool as well. So is Listen Notes. Okay. Now you know how to find them. Now you know how to find their email. If it's a show you really want to speak on, and the email is not in the RSS feed, go to their Facebook business page, because most podcasters forget they have a Facebook business page and they have put their contact email there. Go to YouTube. If you go to YouTube, like you could go to Payman's YouTube, Leaders with a Heart, and there's the thing that gives you like a little arrow on it. You click on it, and then it shows the email address.
Oh,
So
really? I didn't know that.
yes,
Wow.
absolutely. Yeah.
Let me check
I
that.
should have
Wait,
had that ready.
let me check that. Okay.
Huh?
Let me check that. Give me a sec.
Yeah, you check that. You check
Leader
that.
in the Heart. Okay, so I'm on my channel. What
Okay.
I do?
Here, I'll stop share your channel, share
Yeah.
your screen.
Here.
Are you sharing?
Oh, sorry. I thought, okay.
Thanks for your patience, everybody.
All right. So, wait, where's my channel? Let me go here. Sorry. Go.
Yeah, click on Leaders with the Heart. Yep. And
Yeah.
then see the arrow. You see the Leader with the Heart podcast is more than a podcast. Yep. See the little arrow to the
Here.
right. Click on it.
No.
About, scroll down.
Oh, about, okay.
Oops.
Scroll down.
Scroll down. You have your email hidden for whatever reason. You've somehow smartly hid your email, unless you want people to know. But see where it says channel details? Huge amount of entrepreneurs forget and leave their email there. Like if you went to
Okay.
mine, my email is there. But there you go. That's how you can find it. So if you're like, I can't find their podcast anywhere, there's 2 more ways you can find their podcast. And then you can always go to their web page, and they have a contact me.
Okay.
So okay, unshare, and then let's get to it, because you got to know what to send them. I told you how to find them.
Cool.
Told you how to get their email.
Mm.
Now we want to know, well, what the heck am I going to email them? So I've got my guest request email script, my podcast guesting request email script, my super simple email script to generate engagement and get you on shows. Now, here's what you really want.
You're excited,
This is
Matthew,
what you're concerned about. Look at this. You don't even need to know what you're going to talk about. See what I've highlighted right there? This pitch has gotten me on so many shows. Subject, so that's your name. Mischa, I found your podcast name. Mischa, I found your Table Rush talk show, and you have a great show. Are you looking for an interesting guest to be on your show? If so, what are the next steps? Thanks, Mischa. You guys could send an email right now on a podcast. You could go trauma, find a podcast, put in the RSS feed, get their email, and hit send. And they're going to reply back. And they're going to reply back with either yes, click here, or yes, but I need to know what you're going to talk about. Well, so then you reply with what you're going to talk about. Or they say no. And if they say no, what I do is I say, they'll say no. What I hear all the time right now is no, because we only interview women. And so I go, oh, okay. I literally reply, I parrot to them exactly what they say to me. I say, oh, I understand. I go, thanks for your quick response. I understand that you're not emailing women. Would you like to be, or not interviewing, you're only interviewing women. Thank you. Would you like to be a guest on my show? And half of them say yes. And so all of a sudden I'm getting the opportunity to build a relationship anyway. Or you could say whatever you want. You just give them a counteroffer. They're a real person. They've engaged with you. Give them a counteroffer. And if the fourth thing you'll hear is nothing. And if you hear nothing, all you do is literally just resend the email again. So I just do subject line, podcast guests. Oh, by the way, there's your subject line, podcast guests. I hate it when people give you like an email template, but they don't give you the subject line. That's the worst. So you get the subject line too. So that's what you email to get on the show. I've got tons of students who do this. They love it. And we have success. Next question is, you get on a show. What do I say and when do I say it? So I've got my story bank, get your stories together worksheet, my 3-part story collecting worksheet, so you can tell the right stories at the right time to capture your audience's attention and inspire them to action. But basically what you're doing is you are writing down your story arcs. So I've got 4 main story arcs in my life. Okay. So you write down your story arcs, and then within each of those story arcs, you write down your stories, your inspirational or impactful people stories, and then your customer stories. Okay. I'll give you an example of my 4 story arcs are, and you've heard them all. I've been on here, right? They were my recovery years, my success family, rocket ride to success years, the divorce, death, failed relationship years, rebirth into online marketing years. Those are my 4 main story arcs. And then you've heard me tell stories, judge rank, various stories, success stories. I'll give you, let's talk about impactful people stories first. Judge rank was obviously an impactful person in my life, right? A homeless person could be an impactful person in your life. You're walking down the street and you have an interaction with a homeless person and they change the course of your life by something they say out of nowhere. Like, weird stuff like that happens. It's happened to me. I'm sure it's happened to you. Yes? Yeah. Yep. And so it could be Kyle Cease was an impactful person in my life. Darren Riley, who trained me in home loans, was incredibly impactful in my life. I got to remember more to talk about Darren Riley. Customer stories. So Rick, Carissa, Don Gadden, others, they love this story bank because it gives them so much confidence. So not only does it help you guest speak on podcasts, but it helps you in your networking events. It helps you whenever you speak in person. It just helps, right? You get to tell the right story at the right time, and your customer success stories are super important. Like, I have video testimonial after video testimonial from my members who are like, the story bank is amazing. It's given me so much confidence. And, anyway, where was I going for this? Let's say you're new in what you're doing and you don't have any customer stories. You probably have a family member, a friend, a business relationship that you've helped with what you've said, what you've done. You've got your own success stories. You can use those too. So when I say customer success stories, that could be at a story arc in your life and you inspired your mother to change, right? Or maybe you helped your sister heal from trauma, and that's what got you started in this whole thing that you're doing anyway. Or maybe you retired. There's some people that are my age on here, perhaps a little bit older. And so maybe you're like, hey, I all of a sudden retired from my job for whatever reason. And I impacted somebody and it let me know from the universe that this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. If that makes sense. So that is the story bank. So now you know how to find the shows, how to get their emails, what to say, when to say it, inventory your stories. And then my favorite stories are Stacy. She jumped in my influence army and she got 2 $6,000 contracts so quick, actually, without even really having to try. It was crazy. Carissa got a $30,000. She actually got a business grant. She spoke on a virtual stage, and I got the testimonial. It was crazy. She's like, I knew what to say, when to say it. I called out my audience. I have this other call out your audience headline framework. But the right person heard it, and she got a $30,000 business grant by speaking on a virtual stage. Alan got booked on 5 shows in a month. Dawn was like booked on 6 podcasts. Like, it's crazy. Philip here, I meant to say this. I'm glad I wrote this down. Philip had his VA doing this stuff and was getting him booked on shows. So you could sick your VA on this, right? I'm not guaranteeing that any of this will happen for you. They did the work. We've got to do the work, right? So here's a bonus. You can go to guestingguide.com and you can launch a successful and profitable podcast tour. There it is. That's what you'll see. It says the site is not secure, but it is secure. One day I'll get it fixed. Here's the messy action. People are like, you got to fix that. And I'm like, I actually don't. It might have more conversions, but really it's got nothing to do with me pressing forward. So I'd encourage everybody, take the messy action, debrief. I always take notes after I talk, but I think we should open it up for Q&A. I think I covered everything.
Great talk, man. Love that, love that, love that. Always learning new things. So bring on the questions to Mischa.
Question.
And let me say, oh yeah, hold on. But let me say, Payman, thank you for letting me know that I gave new content because I was like trying to remember some key things. Yes. Anyway, questions, go.
You know, you were supposed
yes.
to, sorry, you were supposed to have 20 minutes because so I'll let you go ahead and say anything. You've been here for an hour, so good job.
Yeah, I interrupted you a couple of times. Someone had a question. Fire.
Yes, it's Kerry. Thank you so much, Mischa. That was fantastic. And I loved that each time I had a question, you actually was answering it as I was thinking. So that was great. But there was one question with the, what do you call it, SEO. So let's say I'm interviewed by you and you've got your links all over the place. Does that help my SEO build up?
That's a good question. So you're saying if you speak on my podcast and then I put your links in there, does that help?
Yeah.
Yes, it absolutely helps. As a matter of fact, I just had an SEO. This guy is an SEO genius, and he spoke on my podcast, not about SEO stuff, but he talked about business coaching and stuff like that. And he actually gave me exactly how to write the link so it would be the most SEO successful. So it's very powerful. It's so much so he's like, make sure. So does that answer the question?
Yeah, thank you. The other question was realistically, with us starting off, how many podcasts would you recommend we do a week?
Yeah, I would do 20 a week. I send out 100 yeah, 20 a week.
As many as you can.
Yeah. So
but you're not online all the time, you're just recording them.
Oh, how many to speak on a week? Oh, I think if you could speak on 1 or 2 a week, that would be amazing. Like if you could get on 1 a week or 2 a month until you get momentum and start dialing in what you're saying, that would be amazing. And it's incredibly powerful. So
yeah,
how many? Yeah, I think shoot for like 1 a week is the big goal. But if you could get on, 2 to 4 a month, that'd be very powerful. And once you dial in the system, which can happen quick. Ron Story, who has been very impactful in my podcast guest speaking journey. The other day he said, "Hey, Mischa, you know how you turn one podcast guest speaking scenario into 3?" And I said, "No." And he goes, "When you're done with the interview, ask them to refer you. Ask them for 2 other podcasts that you could speak on." And he's like, "You'll too." And I was like, oh my God, I've been in sales and networking and asking for referrals forever. And I was like, how did I miss that? Anyway.
Great. Thank you. Thanks, Mischa. It's really helpful.
Matthew has a question.
Fire.
And then Paul.
Paul, okay.
So question number 1, what is an SEO?
Yeah, search engine optimization.
Oh.
So yeah, search engine optimization. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
So like when, yeah. So if you Google podcast guest speaking, maybe I'm not sure if I start coming up yet, but let's say in 2 years, I have so much content out there about podcast guest speaking that I start to rise to the top when people search that.
Yeah, boy, it's been a long time back, probably 20 years ago. I used to help. My first place I went was with my dad to Brian Tracy's Psychology of Sales.
Yes.
And got into behavior. And 20 years ago, I was helping someone who was starting an internet company figure out how to always be bumped at the beginning of the Google search engine when it came to snow sports. And we were really successful. There was like 4 or 5 of us, and that's all we did was search engine optimization. So I appreciate helping me with the acronym. So I guess that the blank that I now have has allowed me to forget what question I was. So next question, maybe I'll remember. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Yes, yes. Yeah. We got a few more minutes. So I think, Paul, did you have a question?
I don't have a question, but I do want to say thank you. Thank you very much for your time here today. This has been absolutely fantastic. I am very excited to be a part of all of this, and I have to jump off here, but I just wanted to be able to say thank you again. And Payman, this has been an excellent, excellent 5 days, all of you. So fantastic to be a part of your group. And I really look forward to connecting and sharing and guesting on each of your shows. And welcome to mine. Payman,
You're welcome.
I look forward to seeing you next week on Tuesday, our appointment that we've already set up.
Yes.
And the Inspiration Army, let's rock, brother.
Yeah, man.
Yes.
I'm
Excited.
on your
Looking
wait
forward
list.
to it.
Good.
Thank you for
Cool,
being with
Paul.
us this week, Paul. I appreciate that. Well, looking forward to our chat. I'm looking at my calendar here on Tuesday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, which is Wednesday morning, 7:30 a.m. here. Looking forward to it. Thank you, brother. God bless.
Anyone else? Christine, Sarah Sai, Joanne, anybody?
I
Geraldine,
think Matthew raised his
Natasha?
hand again. Matthew, too many questions.
Matthew.
Go ahead, brother.
There's no such too many questions.
I know.
This doesn't really have. I guess this isn't really involved in what you said with, but I was just wondering if you had any tips for me. I did it a little differently myself. I was corporate scum when I was young, and then I went into this snow sports world, and I'm really struggling with time optimization. And at the moment, it's like I don't even have time to take unscheduled calls, and I've got all of this stuff that I'm working on. What would be a good way to put myself in a position where I'm able to communicate with people who are doing podcasts and let them know that I am available? I'm just busy. And what would be a good step as far as like getting on my first podcast?
It's a great question.
Ideas for me.
Yeah, I do. And Matthew, I was in 1986 when I graduated from high school. I was snowboarding, and so I was actually on the pro snowboarding tour from 96 to or 97 to 2001. Was in the Swatch World Championships, snowboarded all around the Western United States. So Jackson, Wyoming, obviously, Utah, Colorado, California, and I was literally the first snowboarder on lots of lifts. So all of us were racing to be the first snowboarder on those lifts. But anyway, so thank you for letting me tell that story.
Probably hanging out with my friend Mikey Franco and people like that.
Yeah.
I spent a season in Jackson. I love the area.
Yeah, so good. And then I saw you raise your hand, Christine. So I'll answer your question in 1 second. But so what you want to do is you could do a Facebook post or a Instagram post or whatever your channel du jour is, or all the channels, and just do. I don't have the post handy, but you could just say, "Hey, everybody, I'm looking for podcasts that are looking for a speaker, me, to speak on whatever it is you want to speak on, empowerment, I don't know, snow sports or whatever. I'm not sure what your new thing is you're creating. whatever that topic is, put that in there, and then just put know anybody question mark, and then you will probably, like I did that post and got on a bunch. I also have what's called the soft launch announcement framework that's a little bit more in depth, but you could simply do a longer post, where you add value, this, that. LinkedIn is a great post to do a post of like just what I said. Hey, I'm looking for podcast hosts that want a speaker, bracket me. So you literally type me, who want somebody to speak on and whatever it is. So someone said trauma or healing from
Awesome.
divorce or yeah, cool.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I use a technique that permanently separates emotions from memories in the mind that was invented May of 2003, and the papers are almost done at UCI and
Yeah.
ready to be published. So that's my thing, is basically just helping people overcome their blocks. And I haven't found the specific niche that I'm looking for yet. And I've had a lot of successes in both business as well as the snow sports field.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be interesting to see which avenue I take, because it's the accumulation of like 4 years of basically being engrossed in studying after I got my life back from accidents.
I love it. Test and try too. Test and try, test and try. So I've slowly narrowed down what I did just by testing and trying and taking messy action. I've got this calendar here. At the top of it, I write 3 things I'm grateful for every morning. I write down 2 affirmations. I don't know if you can hear me. Sorry, I was away from the mic.
Yeah.
I write down 2 things or 3 things of how I can make the day better. That's each little box. And then I kind of just write down through the day the 2 or 3 key things I want to get done. And then I don't worry about the rest. So if you're wanting to get your message out there, prioritize that and let the other stuff fall away. But that would be a tip that I have.
Could have been sounds like you could have been one of my coaching clients. You've got a good coach. I like him.
Yeah, there you go. Christine, what's up?
I just wanted to say thank you very much for what you've shared. The information is quite valuable. And one question that I do have is, what is the absolute best thing that's come out of the podcasting thing that you're doing?
Oh my gosh. I know today that I am on the right path, doing the right things. Like I am taking the exact next right steps. And that is so empowering. So even through the ups and downs, right? I'm just like, I'm doing the right stuff, because I get all sorts of positive affirmations, right? We're all trying to stop listening to the noise or the gremlins, or call it what you will, even in our mind. But I just know, just by the incremental successes I've had, just me speaking right now here to you, and then you saying, hey, thank you so much. Like that's, if nothing else happens, through next week, like it's incredible to serve like that. It's just so powerful.
So how does that make you feel?
What's that?
How does it actually make you feel, and what's it done to your life?
Oh my gosh. How does it make me feel? So I feel empowered. I feel energetic. I feel, let's see, what else do I feel? Like a typical male. I'm not good at saying what I feel, but let me see, what do I feel? I mean, look at me. Like I'm excited. I'm passionate. I'm,
Cool.
Stuff like that. I love it. Empowered. I do have fears sometimes. I will not lie to you about that. And what has it done for me? I mean, I've created a business. I've met amazing people, Payman for one, other people that have been on his challenge I'm friends with. So just the networking effect of it. I love people. And so am I answering your question? I hope I'm not
Yeah.
sidestepping it.
Yeah, they're the sort of things I was interested to know about you and what it's done for you. Because I've got my own podcast and I interview people, and it makes me feel good that I'm bringing out information that these people have experienced, the changes they've made to their life, and how other people can employ those strategies and lifestyle changes. So it makes me feel good to help people, because that also, and my podcast is about successful people, and I particularly wanted to interview successful people because the public want to emulate and know about what successful people have done. So that's an attraction. And all successful people look after their health, and all successful people look after their well-being. All successful people have overcome challenges in their life, and all successful people give back in some way to a bigger than them project. And all those things affect your wellness. And a lot of people don't look after their spirituality. They don't do charitable works of some sort or another. And so they can actually turn their life around. And they're all aspects that I want to bring out to people. And what you just said in answer to my questions sort of emphasizes that's true.
Yeah. Yeah, love that. Thank you for that, Christine. Sarah Sai, you've got a question?
Yes, thank you. I want to be looking at you, not me. There we go. Yeah, great. Really lovely to hear your experience and to feel your energy as well. You've just got a lovely, open, loving heart, full of generosity of spirit. I'd love to interview you. I've just started podcasting.
Wow.
And I have my new, I've only done a few interviews. It's called Speak Easy with Sarah Sai, because I focus on conscious communication and human values, and I deal with the life lessons that people have learned, because I've got a lot of experience for people arriving at the departure gate of life with regrets, unfulfilled dreams. And so you're listening to your story, it makes me think, wow, you've got a lot to share there. You've got a great story that a lot of people can relate to. I wanted to ask you, I mean, whatever you want to say about that, but I wanted to ask you, I'm getting slowed down by dealing with the intros and the outros. I've created my podcast intro and outro, inviting people, but I'm wondering if you think putting little snippets of the video is a good idea in the intro, as a magnet to bring people in, or what you use to attract people to that particular podcast.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. Well, here's what I'll tell you. Anything that slows me down and stops me from publishing or is going to add too much work, I don't do it. Literally. I'm like, boy, I listen to all these podcasts and they do that teaser at the beginning. This is what you're going to hear about. If I don't have time to do it and it's going to stop me from doing it, then I'm like, I'm not going to worry about it. And I'll just do the intro and the outro.
I
So
still
would
don't do
encourage
those.
anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything that you don't have bandwidth for, or it's going to slow you down or give you an excuse to not do it, don't do it. I mean, don't do that thing. Do the podcast. So that's my number one encouragement. Take the messy action. I changed my own intro and outro. But now what I do, here's what I do, and maybe you can emulate this if you want. I will take the transcript and I use otter.ai.
I use that, yeah.
Okay, cool. So I get the transcript, and then you go up to the share, which is in the top right, and make sure that anybody that you can share it, copy that link. And then I go into Chat GPT and I created a prompt that says, give me what I actually talked about. Give me the highlights of what I actually talked about in this interview. And then it scans it, and then it says, like, if you listen to any of my most recent episodes, I probably started doing this, I don't know, 5 or 10 episodes ago, maybe 15 or 20, I don't know. But so then it starts actually highlighting what I actually talked about. But you could be like, you could put the transcript link in there and say, hey, Chat GPT, give me the number one hook takeaway that I could write that'll encourage people to come on here. And then you just read it before. So that's what I would, that's an easy way to do it.
Yeah, and that's great. Thank you for reminding me of Otter and meeting Otter with ChatGPT. They're perfect bedfellows.
Yes.
The other thing as well is, what's the ideal length? Because I go deep into my interviews. because I'm really tuning into the heart of the person and everything comes out. And so I'm wondering, am I overdoing the interview? Am I making it too long? Is there an ideal length for podcasts?
I'm going to speak to if
For
somebody
marketing.
tells you, sure, that's a great question. If you,
Actually, sorry,
I'm,
Mischa, Graham had asked the same question. I was about to say that. So, a great question. Go ahead.
oh yeah, great question. So this is what I like to do. An hour works great for me.
Okay.
And I like being interviewed longer on a podcast. Now, statistically, is that what's the best or this or that? I don't know. And I don't want to know. I want to do what's going to allow me
Yeah.
to execute on my labor of love, right? And
Yeah.
so if you like the 3-hour podcast, do the 3-hour podcast. Your people are going to show up and they're going to listen, right? If that's who you are, do who you are and what's authentic to you. That's what I would encourage you 100%.
Okay, that's great.
If
Yeah.
people are interested in what you're talking about, they'll listen to the whole thing. If
Right,
it gels with them,
yes.
if there's a connection, they'll watch the whole thing. If it's
Yeah.
not their topic, they'll move on to something else.
We're so
Oh my gosh.
brainwashed into thinking people won't listen anymore, that they've 8 seconds of brain capacity before
If
they'll
you
move on.
change,
It's like,
if
I
you
don't
change one
agree with
person,
that conditioning.
Yeah, no, and go Christina, and I'll give you one final opinion on that too. Yeah, go ahead.
if you change
Christina.
one person's life and you connect with
Yes.
someone and they take on board what you've brought out in that interview, well, it's a good interview.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'll say this too, that Dan Carlin, I don't know if anybody's ever listened to Dan Carlin's podcast. He does an episode like every 3 or 6 months. They're 5 or 6 hours long. It's crazy. I'm not saying do that, but what I will say is that he does history. So if you like history, it's amazing. But I will listen to him on 5 different walks, right? I'll listen to 30 minutes and then the next walk I'll listen again and then the next, right? So you're actually with a longer podcast creating an opportunity to hold somebody captive. I say that in a good way.
Yeah.
Over multiple days. So again, what fires you up? And I just saw this thing from Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan was like, all his friends were telling him as he was doing his podcast the first 5 years, your episodes are too long. That's what people were telling him. Your episodes are too long. You got to stop and change it. And then the next thing you know, he's the biggest podcast in the world with his 3-hour interviews.
Yeah.
I don't really listen to him, but his podcast, but I'm just saying, right? He found his audience. So.
And you know, Stephen Bartlett, Diary of a CEO, he does long podcasts as well.
Yeah.
And they're very riveting. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
You
great.
can go
Thank
deep
you.
too, man. Yeah.
Yeah, they're
cool.
really interesting. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. And
I'd
I
like
mean
to
that.
add-
I'd love to interview you.
Yeah. I made a note. So find me on Facebook, Mischa Zvegintzov or Mischa Z. I'm the only one there, I'm sure. Or if you're on LinkedIn or whatever, and then let's do it. I'd love to be on your show. It's super fun. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'd like to add on that. Thank you, Mischa. One thing I'd like to add is to both Sarah Sai, Graham, and all of you guys. It's your show. You decide, there's no right or wrong. You decide how long you need. I also like to get deep. My podcast used to be an hour and a half, 2 hours. People told me as well it's too long, but I didn't care because for me, I don't create podcast content for the numbers. I care it to build connection, trust, rapport, just what I've been teaching and emphasizing all week long. I use my podcast to get my foot in the door, build that rapport, trust with my ideal audience. And once you have this trust, then the doors open for us to do business. So this is why I take the time that you need. It's not about the numbers. Doesn't matter if only, just like Christine said, if you're, and this is what I tell all my guests, if you come on my podcast and share your story, if your story just inspires one person or gives them hope, gives them back their belief in themselves, in humanity or whatever, give them an idea, then that is worth it. I don't need the entire planet to listen to this. It would be nice, but if you can change or inspire or give hope to just one person, then your show, your podcast, heck, even your mission in this life would be successful, because that's why we are here, to inspire, empower, and uplift. So there is no right or wrong as far as what is the ideal length of the podcast. however long you need to really get to know someone, build trust, rapport, and for them to do the same with you. And also it's going to depend on what I said at the beginning and what I cover in the first week of my academy. What is the foundation? What is the purpose, the goal, the objective, the message you're trying to convey to your podcast? Some people there's some very successful podcasts like the Frank Kern, mega superstar, marketing genius, one of the first guys that made $1 million launch in 24 hours way back in 2004. His podcast is literally 3 minutes, 3 or 4 minutes each time. He gives one little tidbit. Or for example, Russell Brunson used to have a podcast called Marketing in Cars. While he was driving from his house to his office, was literally 5-10 minute drive, he would just record a podcast, 5-10 minutes. So again, it depends on you. What is the message? What is your purpose? What is the gift you're sharing? What is the pain point you're solving? But if you're using your podcast for the way I've been teaching you guys and sharing with you guys is, use your podcast for what podcasting is truly phenomenal. And that is, one, get your foot in the door and, with the ideal audience. And two, really go deep, get to know them so that you can build that trust, that rapport, and all that. However long it's going to take you. For me, my episode used to be an hour and a half, 2 hours. Now they're about 45 to 60 minutes. Still long enough for me to get to know someone. Or sometimes if I see they go over the hour, I just like, hey, let's call it a day and do a part 2, which is beautiful. I've done, some of you remember Deborah from day 2, I believe. We've done 7 episodes. I've created an entire playlist with her. She has so many incredible gifts to share. I have many people. Randy, he was here on the last 2 days with us. I've done so many episodes with him, and they were long. I created a playlist for him. So again, if you see an episode is going to go longer than an hour, that's fine. Just tell him, hey, let's call it here and do a part 2, part 3. People will love it too. It's going to be much more digestible as well. Yes.
Love it.
Christy.
Carrie. Oh, Carrie
Yes.
first, I think.
Okay, go
Carrie,
ahead.
and then, yeah.
Hi, thank you. With this, whether it's too long or not, I think that too that what they say, bad reputation is good marketing.
Yeah.
So one could
Yeah.
turn
Bad,
around
any
and
press
say,
is good press.
yes, that's it. And so
Yeah.
some will be saying, bagging, oh, Mischa went on for, hours. It was horrible. So, oh, who's this Mischa? What was he talking about? Why would he be wanting to talk that long? Yeah, so I think that's something you can cash in on. My thing, Mischa, you won't know, but I didn't really know what a podcast really was until this with payment. So thank you. So I'm at the point, I was really excited, like, yeah, I'm going to do it. But now I'm sort of feeling like push comes to shove. I'm like, oh no. So I'm at that point now. It's like, what? Yeah, I'm sort of feeling a bit nerve-sighted about the whole thing.
Oh, yes.
I would tell you, before I'll let the Payman might answer this better than me, but this is what I
Oh,
would
go ahead,
tell
brother.
you.
Go ahead.
I would tell you start.
Yes.
Even if you're like, I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to talk about. If that's what you're thinking, I would call the show, I'm not sure what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah.
I
love
swear
it.
to you, I would with Carrie,
Yeah.
with Carrie Ferdin, the infinite creator. I swear to you, like start it. It's like having a baby or getting married. Remember when you got married? I remember I was like, well, I guess, love, all that, great. But like when it came to babies, I was like, I guess I wasn't ready. I was like, let's go. Right? It's like, let's have the kids.
Off the way. Yeah.
So that would be my answer
Okay.
to you. And then you start refining what you
Yeah.
want to say and how you want to say it. And, I don't
Yeah.
know if that helps words, but
Yeah,
that's what I
thank
would
you.
do. Yeah.
To piggyback
Yeah.
on that, when I started my podcast way back in October of 2020, my idea at the time was to launch, to do something, because I was about to do a Kickstarter campaign. My background is e-commerce. I was trying to build an audience for my launch, but because it was a pandemic, I couldn't find any place to do it. It slowly turned into me having this beautiful conversation with heart-centered entrepreneurs, and that was took me down the path of spiritual awakening and a transition from an e-commerce podcast to talking to heart-centered entrepreneurs. My initial idea was not at all, because if you had come to me way back when I started my podcast to talk with heart-centered entrepreneurs, I would say, stay away from me, you cuckoo, because I was not awakened. But then that was part of me of getting awakened. So the point is, start where you are, pay attention to the feedback you're getting, and listen to, remember what I said the last 2 days? Listen to that voice, your gut feeling, your hunches. You will know where to take your podcast. You will see what really resonates with, especially once you have clarity as to your zone of genius, your gifts, as I've been mentioning the last, especially day 3 and 4. Pay attention to the feedback you're getting from your listeners, from the people that are paying you for your services, and also to your heart, to your gut feeling, to your voice, because that's going to guide you. Go ahead, Mischa.
Yeah. And then let me answer Natasha's question, and then I got to
Yes.
bounce. I have just a few minutes, but
Sure.
Carrie, I think in America, this mantra of good is the enemy of the best, I'm going to call BS to that. I'm going to say that is BS. The best is the enemy of more than good enough. Like, it just go, do
Yes.
it. Right? Like, this best thing is illusory, and beauty's in the eye of the beholder. I believe that 100%. And then I'm telling you, someone said start your podcast 7 years ago, and I bought a mic and I sat around and recorded people, and I did not finally start publishing until 3 years ago. And if you said, Mischa, what's a regret that you would have? I would tell you that. You're here, you're being called, like, go for it. You got nothing to lose. Literally nothing. That I mean, maybe a little bit of money or whatever. So what? Like, it comes and goes, right? Or I don't mean to downplay anybody's financial situation. So I don't. So take. I'll stop
you.
there. Yeah.
Thank you. I
Natasha.
appreciate the input.
Natasha,
Yeah.
go ahead.
I just want to say thank you first and foremost, because that was, and I don't know if anybody saw the Facebook post that I just put up, because I'm like floored, right? Because there's clarity and there's a pathway where before I started a vlog that was called Ramblings of a Busy Mind this year. And basically that's what it is, because I come from burnout and your brain goes anywhere and everywhere and you jump from one topic to the other. But I never thought about doing that as a podcast. It was almost just like a vlog, it's like me rambling. Lately, we have done that as a live with a friend of mine who doesn't want to be seen, but we have the discussion, and it's really cool to have that. And I would probably never have attended this challenge if I wouldn't have been ready for it. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Cheers, Natasha.
Thank you for sharing that. And Carrie, one thing I want to say is, the more you think of what I mentioned, you have beautiful gifts. We all have beautiful gifts inside of us. And as I said earlier, if you were to keep them from yourself, that would be considered, in my opinion, to be a karmic and spiritual crime. The more you wait, the more you're preventing someone to be inspired by your gift, by your story, by your wisdom. So start ASAP, start where you are. Just like the saying says, fail fast, fail forward. Don't wait for all the green lights to align and the stars and the birds to sing and all that. No, just go where you are with what you have.
Thank you.
Since you're on this call, you have everything you need as sort of equipment. You have a computer, you have a microphone. You're good to go. Just share your story. Speak from the heart. You
Awesome
don't need
background.
to invest in a $1 million studio. Just start.
Thank
Christine,
you.
quick comment. Did you have, sorry to cut you off, Carrie. I got to go though. 2 minutes, fire, unless you just go ahead. I'll shut up.
I just wanted to say that if the one person that you help will tell other people anyway, right? So doesn't matter if it's only one. And also your interview will be as long as it needs to be, if you want to, because you've got a purpose and you want to bring out certain points or information that are going to help people. And when you've brought them out and discussed them enough, then your job's done. So it doesn't matter if it's half an hour, 20 minutes or 45 minutes or an hour, you know, you've done what you want, what your podcast is about. You know what I mean? So it's as long as it needs to be.
Exactly.
And because I don't, some of you haven't started. When I started, I wasn't real confident, but I had a plan and I had a purpose and I had a list of questions that I wanted to speak about. But if somebody said something, then I can ask a clarifying question or lead that where it, because it's a really good thing this person's bringing out, and you can pursue that. But if you have a basic plan of the sorts of questions and the topics that you want to discuss, I found that useful.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Good. Hey, I got to bounce,
So I'm
everybody.
learning
have
as
an
I go.
appointment.
Hey, Mischa, I
Sorry,
just want to
Zvegintzov.
say thank you, brother.
Yes.
You were supposed to have 20 minutes, and because it went for over an hour and a half, I haven't not been able to do my talk, my teaching for the day. So I hate you, man. I'm not gonna bring you back again. You know, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Hi,
Okay.
we love him.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. So, guys, because it wouldn't be fair for me to start teaching now and keep you for another hour, what I recommend is for us, what day this weekend works best for us, for you guys, so we can, so I can actually teach you the content of day 5. Would it be tomorrow night, Saturday, or Sunday night?
Same time?
Same time, or you can even wake up 1 hour earlier because I love you guys.
Sunday.
So 1 hour
I'm
early
just
would be
thinking
6
I
o'clock
need
in the
to get
morning
to
for
bed
me.
sometime.
It would be 6 o'clock for me in the morning, so I'll do it for you guys.
No, I would be better on Sunday.
Yeah, I'm
Me
totally.
Sunday.
I'm slammed all day long.
Okay.
I have guessed.
How does mornings
you-
work for you? Morning, especially you guys in the US, and that would be also a more friendly time for you, Sarah, Sai, and Angela in the UK. Your mornings would be my evenings, but not too late. Say any time after, say, if you're early birders, after say 7 a.m. Eastern, anytime after 7 a.m. Eastern, that would be 8 o'clock in the night here. I can stay till say 11 o'clock at night. 11 o'clock at
Not
night
for
for me would
me.
be noon for you guys. So
Us Aussies, big different story.
all forces, yes, for you
Hey.
guys. Ah, damn it.
Stay
Payman,
with
while
the
you guys
time
are,
and do Sunday.
Yes, Mischa, you relieved.
I
Thank
gotta
you
go.
very
I
much.
am so sorry. Remind me next time, and I'll cut it short. I will cut it short. I'm so
Brother,
sorry. I
love,
feel,
love you.
I
Love what
feel
you're doing.
horrible.
Keep shining your light. You deserve your rest. Go do what you need to do,
Okay.
brother. Thank you.
Okay. Cheers. Bye-bye. Bye.
I'd be happy to even do 2 calls because I enjoy it. I love you guys. I enjoy it. So tell me what time works best for you guys this weekend. Let me look at my calendar. My calendar next week is going to be rock and roll. I have calls from 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock to 5 p.m. The only time that will work for me would be Sunday or your Sunday or your Monday, you guys in the US, which also be the same for you guys in the UK. For us in Australia and Asia Pacific, it would be the next day. So
Monday would be better. I'm on burnout mode because I've been dealing with people in
Okay.
other countries and flip-flopped, and I, like
Okay.
yourself, I
how does Monday? I can do Monday. I have a call at 8 o'clock here, which is 9 p.m. Eastern. I can start at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific, which would be 6 o'clock in the morning for me. Does that work for you guys?
yes.
So
Okay.
that's this Monday.
Yes. How about you,
Yeah,
Sarah?
that would work.
Sarah,
I just, I
Okay.
could usually do, the weekend usually works for me, but I have a guest healer here who works 12 massages and I can't be on call when I
yes. Okay.
have people walking through my office.
Okay.
But Monday works.
I
Monday
can
should be
work.
fine.
So
I
where
need
are
a
you based?
massage.
Yeah, me too.
Come and I put the singing bowls on you.
Can you beam me into your studio?
I can do distance treatments.
Where are
Massage.
you based?
So, those are singing bowls. There's just too much stuff in them.
Natasha, where are you based?
Nova Scotia.
Oh, not far from me, just a short swim away, all the way from Vietnam.
Exactly.
Cool. So,
No, but
Seven-
if you ever you can draw a distance treatment, just let me know
Yeah,
and
that's what I'm
happy
saying.
to provide.
Just beam me in. So let's do a quick show of hand. Saturday. Who's in for Saturday? Who's in for Sunday? And who's in for Monday?
So what times were the?
So,
Because I need to know for us Sydney time.
You're in
Sydney.
Australia. Okay, so
Yeah.
are you in Perth time or Sydney time? Or in the middle?
Sydney,
Sydney, so
Melbourne.
So it's what, 3 hours for you now? 3 hours ahead?
The time now is 11:45.
Yeah, okay. I can do same time, or even I can start 1 hour earlier on Saturday. Well, your Saturday night or your Monday night, sorry, Saturday, Sunday night for you guys in the US. For us in Australia and in Asia, it would be the next day in the morning. So you guys tell me, because I have a great content for you for the last day to put it all together. So, okay, okay. Let's start first with the people in the US and then UK, Europe, and then Australia, Pacific. For you guys in North America.
Monday would be
Sunday.
best for me.
Monday, what time?
You said 7 p.m. You could do Monday?
7 Eastern, that would be 6 o'clock in the morning. I can do that. That would give me 12-hour window until my next call. And as we've seen, our calls tend to go for 2 hours. So I can do that. Okay. So Matthew.
Monday
okay.
works for me too. I can Sunday or Mondays, it doesn't matter to me. I can do both.
Perfect. How about
Christine,
you?
that'll be our Tuesday, Christine.
So
Oh, yeah.
that'd be Tuesday, and I'm busy Tuesday morning.
Uh-huh.
That's right. I can always watch the replay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's right. You can always
Like-
watch the replay.
How about you, Geraldine?
I would like either Sunday or Monday, roughly around 4 or 5 Pacific time.
Okay.
So in other words, this time that we've had,
5.
or an hour earlier.
Let me check.
My hand isn't working because I've had computer problems. So
All right, here's
Um,
what I'll do because I love you guys. I'll be hosting a call on, for those of you that can anyone do it on Saturday night? So that's my Sunday morning. I will do a call every day for you guys. Nobody can do it Saturday night? Okay.
Sunday morning, I can do Sunday morning.
Sunday
I can
morning.
do Sunday morning as well.
You're in, Kiri, you're in Australia too, right?
Yeah, on the same time as Christine.
Okay, so we have 2 Aussies. Sarah Sai, can you do it? That would be Saturday. No, that would be Sunday in the wee hours for you on Sunday as well, on Sunday morning. Can you do that? I will even start 1 hour earlier.
If you can start, if that'll be midnight, that'll be doable.
Okay, get your popcorn, get your coffee, whatever you need. Okay, so let me write this down. Okay, so Geraldine, okay. Do you have any French in you, Geraldine? Because that's a very French name.
I'm actually German with some Swede.
Okay. So Geraldine, so I will post right down here the best time for all of you guys. So Sunday morning for Christine and Carrie. So, okay. And also for Sarah Sai. For would be 6 a.m. for me, midnight in the UK, and 6 + 3, 9 a.m. for you guys in Australia for Sydney time. Okay. Okay, and so I'm trying to find myself in all this mess. What about you? Natasha, Saturday, that would be Saturday night for you. Can you make it 6 7
Saturday I can't, unfortunately. That's not possible because
Okay.
my house guest is here, and
Okay.
that's the only time she has time to talk.
Okay, what day works for you? Sunday, Monday?
Sunday or Monday, it doesn't matter. I can do both days.
So Sunday night, let's say Sunday night, 7 Eastern.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's 8
Oh, 8
Atlantic.
for you.
That's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah. Okay. How
Yeah,
about
that's
you?
fine. No, don't worry. I work all Canada wide as the treasurer for a association. We never get the times right.
Okay. What about you, Mary Jane?
The only day I can do would be Sunday evening,
Sunday.
possibly. But yeah, Saturday is out for me, and Monday as well. I have another meeting scheduled at 7 p.m. on Monday.
Can you do Sunday, 7 Eastern?
I should be able to. I have one small conflict, I think, but I'm going to see if I can move stuff around. Otherwise, I'll just watch replay if that's what's
Yeah.
best for the group.
Use what I taught you guys in the Godfather irresistible offer. Make them an offer they can't refuse. You know. Matthew, what's the best for you?
Is really best for me.
Which one? Sorry.
I can't. Monday would be best for me, but I could possibly do Sunday depending on how I'm feeling. Right now, I'm on
Okay.
burnout mode. I gotta get some rest with my TBI. If I push,
If you guys are up for it, we can have a 5-minute break and we can go right now.
No.
I got minutes.
Okay. Okay. Carrie, great suggestion, but doesn't work for everyone. Okay. Who can stay right now? Raise your hand. Anyone? Of course, Sarah, it's pretty late for you. Okay, so just okay. Okay, let's do it. Okay, I'll
I
figure
gotta
things
be
out.
up early.
Figure it out and get a hold of us.
Absolutely, absolutely. Listen, guys, thank you. And
I love-
one last thing I would like for you guys, if you can, would love to hear you. Maybe we'll do that on the call on next resume. I would love to get like a 90-second testimonial. If your feedback about the challenge. We'll do it together. I'm not asking you to record it. We'll do it live next time. It's be much more authentic. So thank
You have
guys.
you have mine in the group actually.
Oh, beautiful.
In the Facebook
Thank
group.
you. Thank you. Listen, guys, I want to, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for your trust, for your time. You're the most valuable asset to spend it with me over the last week. We're not done yet. We're only getting started. We have still one more, but wait, there's more. Just like the cheesy line. So yeah, I'll see you guys. I'll figure all this out, and I'm looking forward to properly delivering the day 5 content. And also, if you haven't done so, let's book a time for next week to really have a one-on-one conversation to understand you, your business, your offer, and see how we can implement that for your business. And yeah, so all right, guys, have a good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whatever. It's 9 o'clock in the morning, been up since 5 here.
Thanks, Amanda.
Breakfast. Take care, guys. Have a
Thank
good-
you.
Thank
I'll
you
see
very
you.
much.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. Ciao.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Upstream. Okay. Okay.